11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans. Another day closer to victory. Out there on the line, it's your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific for about an hour or 90 minutes every day. We talk about 3 gun-related topics every day, different topics throughout the week. Run it live on YouTube, and we simulcast it over at gunchannels.com. We're watching the live comments from everybody who's watching the show live. We also watch the comments over on YouTube. Then when it's all over, we'll take the audio, turn it into a podcast, and post that over at iTunes. And we encourage everybody that might be listening to the show in the future or now to leave us some feedback on the various platforms where you listen. It lets us know where people are. It also helps the show to get recommended to more listeners, and that's our goal. So we do appreciate that favor when people do it. And it doesn't happen often, so we want to encourage people to do it. That's why I mention it at the beginning of the show every single day. We have hosts. 4 of us are here today. Let's see. Let's go backwards. I'm in Arizona. We got Z jumping in from Maui.
Well, aloha there.
Got Smeggy jumping in from Michigan.
No, that's not going backwards.
How's everyone doing? Thanks for having me. Thumb up the video. Happy every second matters.
You went from the extreme west to the most extreme east coast. Who's next?
Then we're going to introduce Bob, who is in here, who is in Las Vegas. And I don't know why he didn't join in today. He knows what the show is. He's in Las Vegas. He got no excuses. Then Dano, because he was being ornery, so he gets to go last today in Illinois. So anyway, I don't know. I just went backwards from what we usually do. That's all, not necessarily from physical location, because I'm pretty sure Z is south of me. So probably Z should be south.
I am.
Last all the time.
But and I should be.
So anyway, that's our host today. And I'm going to stop for a second and mention this is the Daily Gun Show. We just assume everyone knows who we are and what we're doing. But we're on episode 259. We do this podcast on every weekday. We've been doing it for about 259 days, however many weeks that comes out to. I think we hit a month yet, or a year yet? Right around a year of doing almost a single weekday. The hosts have changed a little bit, but for the most part, we come in and we talk about guns for about an hour or 90 minutes every day. Like I mentioned, we break the show up into segments, and then every day we hit certain things like a gun shop every day and the gun of the day and a movie. We are here to promote a couple of different things. First off being Second Amendment awareness, and today being the 2nd of the month. We're going to have a separate podcast after this one where we get together and talk about Second Amendment and what can be done and watch the horizon for what's coming next. But that's one of the goals of our show, so we talk about it as much as possible on the show. We like to encourage people to participate in social media, gun-related stuff if possible, but gun-friendly people doing any kind of posting on social media helps get the word out there. I like to think of this stuff as the new media, not because we're doing the same old thing on a new platform, but because it's the platform offers an interactivity, a way to communicate and get feedback and to participate in ways that we've never been able to do before. And that not only encourages individual participation, but it really allows individual participation to be a bigger part of the collaborative whole as ever before. So instead of just offering feedback to the content that's created, you can actually be part of creating it. We want to encourage people to do that. Part of that is the gunchannels.com that we mentioned a little bit earlier. It's a community that we built with the idea to, again, offer collaboration, networking, share resources with people that want to create content, gun-related content. Or if you just enjoy watching actual gun-related content from, gun-related content from actual individuals, not people who are sponsored or not people that went to school for some kind of media stuff or fancy themselves the next TV show. for just people that are doing, like we talked about a little bit yesterday, public access, people that just want to pick up the phone out of their pocket and contribute. And if you enjoy watching that kind of stuff, then you might enjoy gun channels as well. And hopefully you're enjoying our show. We mentioned at the beginning of the show, we like to encourage people to leave us some feedback out there. That does help the show get recommended. That's the way these social media platforms work. When a piece of content is created and laid down on the platform, the more people that interact with it, watch it, like it, share it, all those actions are monitored by the platform, and that's how they rank how popular or how worthwhile a piece of content is. So it really does help us when you put those comments down there. It also helps us as individuals just being out here doing this every day. We monitor how many people are thumbing up or liking our content, and it helps us to know what subjects are of interest and what shows worked well as just giving us some incentive to keep going. So as much as we're doing this show to encourage others, you can participate in that aspect of it to help us keep going. So that's a little bit of the show. I don't think we talk about that enough, so I wanted to kind of take a second to talk about that today. And today, like I say, we're in episode number 259. We're going to be talking about guns in the house. We're going to be talking about training gear and then shooting events that are coming up and all the daily stuff like I mentioned. Of course, we could have a tactical pop quiz at any point. Dan was like easy on the trigger now, so how often it happens during or before the first segment of the show now. But before we get into all that stuff, we usually take a break to see if anything happened overnight, anything worth talking about.
Whoop, whoop.
Hey, now that'd be a bit crazy.
The tactical pop quiz, right?
Wow.
I don't know of anything happening overnight. I've kind of been dark most of the day, but like I didn't see any new news really pop up. I mean, last night Matt had a chat. Some other people did too, but I'm gonna go with not much happened.
That we caught.
Well, you'd be wrong.
Okay. Well, then please enlighten me.
I don't know if he's going to bring it up now or if he's doing something.
Oh, I thought we were going to bring it up during the gun history segment.
Well,
But we can. Well, now that you brought it up, we're going to bring it up, man.
Something awesome happened that you can't believe, and we'll talk about it later in the show. No, we're
See, that's how you do the tease, man. But okay, so let's lay it out there then. Let's be real. Gun Channels members, YouTube aficionados, I'm gonna lay it on you. The Secretary of Interior is a pretty cool guy.
Wait. Let's only offer it to our Patreon supporters. So if you want to actually know what happened, log in to Patreon. No.
That sounds like a plan.
We gotta let me in on the plan before I start disseminating information.
Well, he hasn't gotten that far, so we're okay.
So, am I talking about it or am I not talking about it?
Oh, go ahead. It's information that we need to assimilate to the people.
All right. So the guy's name is Ryan Zinke. He is our new Secretary of Interior. He basically he's a pretty cool dude. He's from Montana. He's a former SEAL. He was one of the ones that didn't really get held up in the confirmation portion so much. And basically, he got escorted to work today on horseback. He rode a horse to work today and then basically was escorted by the National Park Police Force in Washington. And they were rode horseback as well. But when he actually got...
You're telling me I missed ride a horsey to work day?
For the Secretary of Interior. I don't know if you are the Secretary of Interior or if you work with him, but if you were that person, then yes. If you are not that person, then no.
Well, what kind of elitist stuff is that? I mean, if it's ride a horsey to work day, everyone should be allowed to ride a horsey.
Man, is it in the job description that you have currently? Then you need to talk to your boss about that, bro.
Well, it's kind of a cool week because they had Harleys just 2 days ago, and now they got horses.
Yep. So anyway, when the dude actually went and got to work, he followed a little bit of the Trump lead. He actually got to work today and worked. Can you imagine that? Government officials working actually.
I want to watch those roses grow in the garden.
Well, so the first one that he did is Secretarial Order 3346, which advances conservation, stewardship, improves game and habitat management, increases outdoor recreation opportunities by directing bureaus and agencies to immediately identify areas where recreation and fishing can be expanded. The order also requests input from the Wildlife and Hunting Heritage Conservation Council and Sport Fishing and Boating Partnership Council to provide recommendations on enhancing and expanding access to public lands and improving habitat for fish and wildlife. So basically, everybody not that long ago was worried about public lands being sold off to what was it? Some type of energy concerns was one. Like everybody was all worried about this hubbub, right? Like literally last year, literally everybody was all worried about misuse of public lands. Well, so this dude's first day in office, what he starts to do is he expands the accessibility, which some of which Obama had closed off, so to speak, to the public to be able to utilize more public land for both hunting, recreation, and fishing, which is awesome. So kind of a little bit of a nose, you know.
I don't always agree with that.
Well, fortunately, you don't have to agree with it. You just have to listen to what I'm saying. You don't have to agree with it. You just got to listen. And then more importantly was Secretarial Order 3347, which if you remember just before Obama got out of office, he threw out that the lead ban, basically, right? So this 3347 overturns the recent lead ban ammunition and fish tackle used on fish and wildlife service lands, waters, and facilities. The order highlights the need for additional review and consultation with local stakeholders. So he pretty much threw that one in the trash and then expanded access for the public. So I think he did a pretty damn good job for his first day.
Right on, and thanks for catching that because that happened basically today, right? So we're bringing.
Yeah, I found it this again my morning, your guys' afternoon.
I haven't necessarily.
Mostly it was because the dude. I saw a video of the dude riding a horse to work. I was like, "What is this?" And then I dug a little deeper.
Assume that was that we were the first ones to bring that out, so we're the first ones to report on that.
Could I didn't even think of that. Yeah, it could be.
See, I think the lead ban thing is awesome. Yeah, I did not heard that. So that sounds like good news.
Well, lead ammo is kind of old news anyway. After Yankees video, I'm pretty sure all the manufacturers are going to go to other stuff because it's so easy. So
we got all that.
Yeah, but no. Yeah, but no.
Uranium flying around that we can all make bullets out of. Right?
Those are heavy and expensive. They're kind of cost prohibitive.
I don't know. They penetrate pretty well.
That doesn't change their cost prohibitiveness or weight.
Well, when you're the government, when does that matter?
Well, occasionally, responsible stewardship does come into play.
And with that, let's get into the first segment of the show.
Yes.
That leads us smoothly into this gun stuff segment of the segment for the show. Today we're talking about guns at home.
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean?
I agree. You should
Like
have
this.
guns at home.
Like that.
And it's going to make a little musical noise.
Has he got a xylophone? Is that what he's playing? He's playing the
No,
xylophone.
Using his gun with the little thing to hit the xylophone. I get it.
I tried to be cool and make a rack sound, and then also my phone went off.
No worries. So, guns in the house. I'm a big fan also. I don't like leaving them outside or anything. I think it's reckless to just leave them out in the yard or lean it up against the door up front.
You don't want to run it over with the lawnmower.
Just having like a nail out front where you leave your guns on, that's reckless to me. Seems like anybody could just take them. So seriously though.
If your guns aren't at home, where are they?
You leave them laying
Out in the streets at night?
Let's I guess that's a good place. We could preface that there are places in this country, right? I believe near Dano, where people have to leave their guns at the police station, or they stop doing that.
I'm not quite aware of that, but
That's almost like Italy, where you got to leave your stuff at the club, like the
yeah,
sporting
that's
club.
a European thing.
And say, I don't know, that sounds like a city of Chicago thing, but not that I actually know of. But if you told me that was a thing, I wouldn't doubt you.
Would you be shocked? No. I'd probably be inclined to believe him as well.
Anyway, so keeping them in the house, how do you guys, where do we go from that? I mean, obviously there's safes and stuff for storage of them, but I don't know, not everybody I know leaves them in the safe all the damn time or leaves all
Well,
the...
and it changes state to state. Some states and or municipalities require you to lock them in a safe.
No, I don't think so. There's states
Yes.
that you have them safe at all time. That's Canada. There's
No.
states that make you have it in a safe or make you own a safe, that's all.
No, there are some places where you are required by law that if you are not either transporting, like to the range, to the gunsmith, the shop, and I think there was one other place that literally your stuff needs to be locked up. Now, I'm not saying that's the majority. I'm saying that it is the extreme minority of states and or municipalities, but it is a thing, and it does happen to some of our people out there. Like, I think Hawaii might even be one of those where my stuff is required to be...
They have like a gun lock on it?
Excuse me? No.
Have like a gun lock on it?
No, like properly stored, so to speak, is how they would like to say it.
A gun lock is properly secured.
No, I didn't say secured. I said stored.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Which...
Well, that's why I'm trying to say stored and not secured. So I'm talking like a gun safe, a gun locker, a gun cabinet.
Okay.
But they have wording that says you can't just have a gun laying out on the counter. If you're not using it or transporting it, and you're only allowed to transport it to use it, then it needs to be in a place?
Pretty much. There are places like that. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. If your use is home defense, why is the coffee table next to you not its use?
It's because you're not using it at that moment for home defense. That's their point. That is their point.
But if you're
It's a shitty point, but they are expecting you, when your door gets kicked in, for you to go to wherever you have something locked, to unlock it, and then utilize it for its intended purpose of home defense. That is what they are expecting of you.
That's interesting. So I don't know how we got into that from it, but that is definitely guns in the home. And I didn't...
It's some baloney, dude, is what sucks. And it's probably going to cost some people personal harm and or death, in my opinion. I think it's one of the worst things ever is to be able to require that.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me for certain states to do that, but I can't imagine after a period of time that there wouldn't be some sort of lawsuit that would strike that down. I mean, because it goes back to your home.
It's interesting that you say lawsuit over that, because not everybody has castle doctrine either.
Well, right, but I understand that, but still, even if you don't necessarily have castle doctrine, still people.
Some people have a duty to retreat in their state.
I understand that.
Yeah, but if they retreat and then they still can't get out of their house, they're still allowed to defend themselves. Like if you're in the bathroom and you don't have a window and a dude's at the doorway of the bathroom, there's nowhere to retreat. So you could defend yourself from there.
The second story.
Man, again, anytime we start talking about laws and stuff like that, I really suggest that anybody that is listening to us, please check for your local, state, and federal laws for your area, because we may be missing things, we may be adding things, and I really would hate for any of you out there listening to us to get into trouble over some bullshit that we have said.
Anyone who's listening to us for serious legal advice.
Hey, Dana, you were just talking about a lawsuit. There's been people that have been sued for defending themselves in their home by the family members of the people that got shot. You want to talk about lawsuits?
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't mean anything to me that there have or have not been lawsuits to change the law.
I wanna
Lawsuits
talk
can be
about
frivolous.
I'm curious, if you care to divulge, how do you keep your guns?
I keep them properly stored in a locked, what do you call it? A locked safe, like I'm supposed to.
I have one on an end table right next to me. I have another one in the kitchen in my vest pocket. I have another one in my bedroom, all loaded.
Now, this is just it may be off topic a little bit, but do you worry because you staged all those, if someone comes in and they get to your coffee table before you do or something, are you worried that you've now armed an intruder?
Not at all, because as I go about in my home from room to room, I know exactly where each one is, and they don't, and I will get to it much quicker than they will. If I'm in the kitchen, I'm within just a few feet of what I need. If I'm sitting right now,
I guess I was thinking if you were like in the other room and they come in the back door or whatever. I don't know how your house is laid out, but like if they come into a room that you're not in and they're like, "Oh, cool, a gun's sitting here," and they grab it, now, granted you'll still be armed with yours, but you've now armed them. They might have broken in without a firearm, and now they have one.
That brings up a good point that, depending on the size and the layout, you may want to literally house carry. Depending on, the levels of your house, the size of your house, that sort of thing, rather than stage. But that's on a case-by-case sort of situation again. In my situation, staging a few, and when I leave, they aren't necessarily in those same places. That's just while I'm here.
I can see Daniel barrel rolling from the kitchen into the living room, like James T. Kirk.
That's probably more for the trip, though. It's probably not as much.
I wake up in the middle of the night. I just have to reach over to my dresser, and there's a loaded firearm. If something happens, when I'm on my computer or watching TV, I just have to reach over to the coffee table. Something happens when I'm in the kitchen, I have something, because that's where I hang my vest, and I vest carry. It's right there. And when I go out, the guns that are out go away.
I'd like to add some of the chat from both gun channels and YouTube. For example, where is it? In North Carolina, you only have to lock them up if they can be accessed by a minor. And then that same person also said all their guns are in a safe, except for the nightstand gun. And then one of the other gentlemen says, in Rhode Island, we must retreat, if at all possible, even with Castle Doctrine. And then that person also says they carry it home. The person that was talking about the nightstand does have Stand Your Ground and Castle. And then here you go. Nice. Who said that? Is that Chris? Yes. Chris out there on the gun channel said, New York, the bill, A53, aims to criminalize gun owners who fail to store their firearms in accordance with the measure's guidelines. Those guidelines include locking any shotgun, rifle, antique firearm, or handgun in one's possession in a gun safe. Nice. And then G-Web's also with the link. Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but in your possession in a gun safe, again, that doesn't really tell you if you can leave it laying around your house. According to this thing, which I'm thinking is anti-gun, judging from the title of it, which is breaking gun storage laws can land you in jail. That just sounds anti-gun. But it's written by something called findlaw.com. So I can't tell if that's anti-gun or not. But according to this thing, which I'm assuming is some kind of a lawyer thing, or at least law focused, it says 27 states currently have some kind of laws mandating gun storage. So that means that the other almost 50 states don't have it. So about half of the states plus 2 have some kind of law. And then it says it breaks them down into 3 different types. The first is one mandating gun storage. These laws require adults who own guns to secure them if there's any chance of a minor could get their hands on the gun without permission. So generally means, they define minor, but it means you're mandated if there's a minor involved. The second kind of law is one that makes it a crime for an adult to leave a gun unsecured if a minor gets a hold of it and causes damage or hurts somebody. So these laws only punish people who leave their guns unsecured. It doesn't apply to requiring it. And then the third type is one who can be civilly liable for injuries caused by a minor who obtained an unsecured gun and is used to cause injury. The victim of that injury could sue the gun owner for damages. So these gun storage laws don't apply in every state, but they might affect you. So yeah, it looks like half the states have some kind of law, and then those laws are broken up into those three types. And like everybody's saying, we're not lawyers, so go figure out what it is in your state. I guess that transitions into what we're going to be working on later, I guess. And something we could add to that. One of the criteria or one of the characteristics of the state, right? Is what its storage laws are.
Yeah, definitely. And that'll be on Every Second Matters later tonight. We're breaking down state laws.
Nice.
Did you say you're breaking state laws?
I don't think that's what he said.
No, I don't think I said that at all. I'm following all of my state laws. We don't have a storage requirement, so
I'm trying to get viewers.
I'm good to go. And I don't have any minors in the home, so I'm good to go on that.
Yeah, I don't have any minors, as well as where you tend to get a lot of strange rules and regulations is when you get into large cities that have home rule, like the city of Chicago, as well as some of the suburbs where they can literally do what they want. And then it's not just checking your state rules, you have to check your local ones as well. If you live in that sort of city.
Or they're, yeah, somebody playing games, I guess. So I'm going to suggest we go on to the next subject.
All right, sounds good. We all agree, though, that guns at home are good, though? Yes?
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
I guess so.
I am pro guns at home, unless you're not at home, in which case I'm pro guns not being at home.
Yeah.
Because that means you have guns with you, and if it's all your guns, you're going to the range. That sounds like a fun day.
Yeah, I mean, when I leave my home, my guns are all locked up, except the one I have on me.
I'm going to suggest we do this one again in the future, so I'm pasting it into the future so we can address it again, because I think that's a pretty open one. There's all kinds of different ways to take that one, too.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're going to head into training, and more specifically training gear. Before we do, we like to take a break between the first and second segment of the show every day and talk about feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. We mentioned earlier, gunchannels.com. It's a community we built a while back. It's focused on firearms. It's completely membership driven. So there's not a bunch of ads and crap everywhere bugging you to do anything. It's just a place for people to get together and network. We're going to be doing some more activities this year and hopefully encourage a bunch of people who are creating content to hang out and do their thing. And then, of course, all the people that want to watch that stuff, it gives you first, front row seats for all that. When we built it, we had a bunch of people on YouTube that were actively creating content, and they had kind of screwed around with the commenting abilities and whatnot. So we were looking for an alternative. We decided to build one. And when we did, we had kind of an idea in mind, but it turned out to be a much bigger adventure than we could have ever thought. And like I say, we like to feature some of the members over there. Today we're featuring Brandon, who runs Tactical Images up in Scottsdale. He does video and photographs professionally for like Scottsdale Gun Club and a couple of trainers up there and other firearms things up in Phoenix area. And just a photographer, and he enjoys all kinds of interesting things like nerd stuff and being outdoors. He goes down to the border and volunteers time with other Marines and some Coast Guard guys, and they do some border ops or border watch type of stuff. So he's pretty well-rounded, and he participates a lot. So again, one of the I think an excellent example of somebody that we built the place for. He helps support the place, so we thank him for that. And I consider him a friend. I met him a few times now, and in real life, and he's like I say, he's always there if we have a project or something. He's willing to contribute his talents and his expertise on stuff. So,
well, and he's got a different viewpoint on stuff. Like he's not like
it's good.
Like sheep following the crowd or anything like that. He has his own opinions and everything like that. I will have to say sometimes he's good with the gun porn as well, because, you know, whether it's this type of suppressed or, you know, he's got a couple of cans, or sometimes it's the MP5 clone or the pulse rifle. Like, he has lots of visual aids is what I would like to say. And he definitely knows stuff about things that not everybody's always 100% knowledgeable on too. That's the other thing. Like, he's an added resource for sure.
Yes, he's definitely got some equipment that not necessarily all of us have ever had nor have ready access to. So nice guy and a great addition to Gun Channels.
I was just posting a link because he already got it out there for his Instagram account. And he's got tactical images as well, so I'm sure you can find that in his or in his picture probably. All right, so then we're talking about training gear. So where are we taking that one?
What are we training for? Are we training for a competition? Are we training in a class? What are we talking about training?
Hold on.
Well,
Because I'm going to say shot timer is the first thing I'm throwing out there.
For a training class?
I think the answer to that one is, dang, stupid commercials. Come on.
Well, training gear. And if you're
Gotcha.
training for a competition or anything else, I'm
Gotcha.
going to say shot timer.
Class, but you're right.
Hold on. 1 second.
Hold on. We're holding.
Oh, thank you.
I feel a flag coming on.
Whatever. Ride the wave, baby.
Okay, we're going to get to the end because that's 2 minutes long.
Where the hell have you been, soldier? Training, sir! Training, sir! What kind of training, son?
Army training, sir.
Okay, that took a while, but that was the
That was totally worth it, though. Because, yes.
Now, the crazy part is how many of those soldiers did not have cover? How many of those soldiers did not have their uniform top on or tucked in? How many of those soldiers had their hats on freaking backwards?
That's the point. And while it was a comedy and a movie at the same time, so you could suspend your disbelief, Dano.
I'm just making a point, that's all.
You could consider it a modified drill, in which case it would be appropriate.
There you go.
But okay, so that was supposed to be a joke, but it took a while. So what kind of training are we talking about? I think that's a good point. Are we talking about like going to a class, or are we talking about I guess going to like a classroom type of lecture type of thing? When I say class, I guess like range type of training class.
Thing I'll throw out there because it was a recent consideration of mine is I'm going to be taking a class down in Camden in May, and I've seen pictures of their course, and it is littered with shotgun hulls and all sorts of stuff to, you know, that you don't necessarily want to go to one knee and that sort of thing on. And you know they suggest knee pads for their particular course. Now, I've never had to ever wear knee pads for any training course ever before, but at that particular range, it might not necessarily be a bad idea.
Oh, Dano, I definitely suggest you wear knee pads.
So, but eye protection is another one. A lot of people that don't wear glasses don't necessarily think in terms of eye protection because they're so accustomed to going around in their daily life without any. And I think if you want to be, serious about, protecting yourself, it starts with protecting yourself from yourself. And that means wearing eye protection.
All right, well, I don't know what we're talking, but yeah, water and sunscreen and a hat and eyewear, ear pro, backup ear pro, all that kind of stuff is good to have. I don't know about extra boots and crap like that, I guess, depending on how remote a place you're going. Then I would say don't want to forget about food and keeping yourself like going. So maybe some kind of like, I don't know, something you keep in a bag in your pocket to nibble on if you've got issues like that, so you can keep your energy up or whatever.
Spare water.
Yep, definitely water.
Because, you know, you can have a hydration pack and all of a sudden you pop a leak and you don't realize it till it's all gone.
I don't know about that. I guess that's possible. I think the worst thing about a hydration pack for me is you don't really hit. You can't measure how much you're drinking. Where if I'm drinking those, you know, just bottles of water, it's pretty simple to know how many bottles you're down, or like, you know, how many bottles you're in for the day. Car's bringing up training or medical supplies, right? So that's a good one too. I like to have a blowout kit on me, and then I like to have a little bit bigger kit in my range bag, which I'm usually, depending on how you're staging and stuff, you might be dragging around with you, but basically stuff to support yourself or, you know, a wound on your person. And then I like to have something substantially more than that, but like a medium-sized kit that I'm dragging around with me in case there's something happens and you need a little bit more. And then I usually have a real kit in my vehicle. And again, depending on how we're
Like, are you saying first aid kit is what you're kind of saying? Yes.
No, I don't carry first aid kits, trauma kits, paramedic type shit. So if there's an actual gunshot, that's the only thing I'm worried about is a gunshot or a massive burn or some sort of an accident that, again, depending on your class, a lot of times gun classes, shooting classes are out and about, you know, because you're making a lot of noise. So they're out away from places. And even if you get a helicopter coming, it's going to take a certain amount of time for that thing to get up in the air and get to you and then land and all that. So you're talking mainly stuff to pack a wound and to stop bleeding, tourniquets, and a lot of gauze, gloves, and more gauze. So mostly just that kind of thing. As far as like band-aids and shit, I assume everybody else can bring that kind of stuff. I don't personally ever really use it too much, so I don't bother. But I guess I would rely on others for just some of the boo-boo stuff. Sewing kit. Does anybody think about a sewing kit? I usually keep one in my range bag somewhere because they're small, especially when you get something from like a hotel where it's just like a needle and thread and maybe a button or something. Get the button out of there because you don't need it, but having a bit of needle and thread, especially if it's in some sort of little container so that the needle doesn't get all jammed up into stuff and the thread doesn't get all gross. You know, if you rip something or you have to repair a piece of gear, that can be pretty handy.
Yeah, I can see that, especially more important if you're going to do more than just a day or two out. If you're actually going on the road, you're going to be gone a week or possibly more. You're definitely going to want to have something like that.
Clay is saying that instructor should have that. I'm guessing he means trauma kits, but again, I don't care what the instructor has somewhere. I want a tourniquet on me.
Well, and plus you have it on you or in your reach.
Right. I mean, I would assume he does, but it's my life. I want to make sure that I know I have a tourniquet, I have pressure dressing, I have something to pack it on me or within an arm's length of me.
Same thing if you're going to a class. A lot of times you go to a class with a friend, so you're going to be standing next to them, and you kind of like the idea of you having stuff for them and they having stuff for you.
Yep.
Not something that's 8 feet away and somebody has to. Anyway, and every class is going to be different on how they deal with it, with the first aid. But let's not get overwhelmed with something that very rarely ever is even an instance. So there's tons of classes going all the time. There's even more. And
So pen and paper, or pen and paper pad.
Yeah, I like the write in the reins. The little Glock notebooks are awesome if you're worried about having a larger thing. But then I usually, if I'm actually
Well, as I say, think of a Moss class. That little right in the rain just ain't gonna cut it, right? So I guess you're gonna tailor your ability to scribe compared to what it is the class that you're taking or the training that you're taking.
Yeah, quit saying instructors will administer procedure in their kit. There is no like procedure for that. Everybody's going to be different, and it rarely.
And I'm certainly not counting on them to do that either.
Well, it's not like it's an established thing. So that's like, you know, I don't think that's something you could go so far as to say that. Most instructors will have stuff there, but they're not going to say, no, don't use your own because this is the way we do it. But and I don't want to. I don't care. I bring a blowout kit when I go to a gun show. You know, if I'm around guns, I have a trauma or a tourniquet and some gauze.
Yeah, I want to ask G.
Hold on, let's go with the notebook. Unless you're just talking about.
No, you go. You go. Mine can hold.
I see a lot of people spend money on these classes, and I go usually to cover the class, you know, to let people know about it and that kind of thing. And I enjoy watching how the instructor instructs, and I enjoy seeing the type of class, like who the students are and how the facilities were. So I like to take some notes on like what kind of holsters were being used and what kind of guns were being used, how those guns performed, if there was some sort of issue with something or something performed especially well, or something was surprisingly good or bad. You know, I like to keep notes on that kind of stuff. So as well as just a lot of copious notes on whatever it is they're talking about. You get such a download of information that I don't know how people think they're going to retain it all without taking some sort of notes themselves. But so anyway, I see a lot of people not taking any, but I would say that Glock style notebook, the little, what are they, 3x4 or something size notebook with spiral, that Right in the Rain, it is tough and it can work for you. So if you're going to take just some notes, that's the way to go. But I go for the full size 8.5x11 spiral notebook. I usually go for the graph paper kind because it seems like I can do more with that than with the plain old lined paper. And then I'll take notes on the right side and then my own notes to myself on the left side. And then I'll date every page. And I think I've done videos on my note taking. And then that way I have a spiral notebook for each class. And I just put that up on the shelf when I'm done. And if I have some reason to go back and look for something, I've got them. But like I say, there's so many people that pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for these classes and then don't take any kind of notes. And it's not like you record the thing on video the whole time or anything to go back to. You really kind of shorten yourself by not. Some of these things, like just some of the stuff the instructor will say is just golden, like just little kernels of nuggets of info here and there. And a lot of times it's not curriculum stuff. It's just, you know, all of a sudden.
And then you find yourself going, shit, how did he say that? Shit, I should have wrote that down.
Or maybe just forgetting about it. Like I say, if it's not something that's in the course of instruction, just somebody's having an issue with a piece of gear and he offers some insight, or maybe a student offers some insight. So there's no way it could have been planned. You know, that's kind of stuff. You can jot that stuff down. Again, you're getting overwhelmed with all kinds of info. Now it's something that you can go, oh, I knew there was something that was said. Okay, I can go back and find it.
Now, I'm going to, so there are two things I wanted to ask the group here. Now, depending on what kind of training we're talking about, whether we're talking external, out in the field, i.e. range or whatnot, actively moving, stuff like that, or if we're in the classroom, excuse me, your phone, i.e. for either video and or sound recording. Now, is it possible or is it frowned upon? And I'm assuming it's going to be class to class. Depends. Because I could see putting it in your top pocket, so to speak, with the button so it doesn't fall out or whatever. And, you know, if you needed this or that or the other thing, like it would be a backup to, and not even a backup. I take that back. It would just be additional. So, you know, like it'd be supportive to your written notes. But then again, I don't know that they, you know, depending on class to class or training segment to training segment, if they allow for that type of stuff.
Rarely do they allow video because it can just be used out of context. Wrong.
Okay. Okay.
Very few are going to allow that. I think that's why. There's all kinds of reasons why, I suppose. But also, it's just a distraction. You're there to learn, and you're around. You know.
Yep.
You need to keep.
You shouldn't be fiddling with your camera and shit. Definitely agree.
Exactly.
It does a great.
They'll have if we go to review a class or something, and we bring cameras or something like that. That's a little different. But a lot of times, if you're there and they're documenting the class, you can ask for and then get a copy of whatever it is. So nice. Sometimes you can get that accomplished without having to be the one holding the camera. And I guess that's worth talking about too, since we are talking to an audience that hopefully is interested in creating content. If you're going to be going to a class, you can certainly go to a class and enjoy it and not take any notes and go home and enjoy the experience and have a fulfilled life. But you can also go to the class with the idea that you want to share that with other people and then document some of it and let the instructor know ahead of time. And you might be able to set up some sort of deal where they're going to let you know when something's worth filming. And because these instructors, I can't imagine an instructor today that isn't familiar with having people document or record their class. So they might be able to let you know, set up your tripod over here. We're going to be doing something that's worth it. You go on the second string so you can record the first string, or so-and-so will hit your button.
Right on.
And they can record you, and you can basically get some bit of content recorded during the thing without being a nuisance that then you can use to let people know about the class or illustrate some examples or something of what it's like.
And my second question, though, is sort of different. And I'm not saying that this is a question of, is this mandatory for a training class? This is my question is this something that you could see a benefit to bringing to a training class? And of course, it's going to depend on the training class itself. Now, I was gonna say armor. And when I say armor, I mean sometimes there would be soft armor, like almost like the ghost armor that you can just literally wear under your clothes and nobody else might even notice that you're wearing it. And or plates and whatnot, due to, again, could that be considered maximizing your training potential? Because technically, if you think that that is something that you're going to utilize in a particular situation that you are technically taking the class for, again, I don't want to say that it's a mandatory piece of equipment, because I certainly don't think that it is, but I think that it could be potentially a beneficial piece of training gear. Does anybody happen to have an opinion of that?
I think if that's what you wear as part, if you're a security guard, law enforcement officer, and that's what you wear, as part of your job, then certainly yes. If not, then maybe not so much.
Yeah, I would not tend to go with that one either. So if you use it, like Daniel said, for your living, like an occupation, then nobody's going to care. But if you're going to go to a class, there's number one, you're not going to go to a class with other shooters that aren't going to know you're wearing armor. And if it comes up and your thing is, your what do you call it, rationale is that you might put on your soft armor underneath your clothes in a moment, I think people are going to roll their eyes but not say anything to be polite, depending on the students, I guess. But I really can't see it. It's unless it's something like, say, you're wearing as an occupation, then it's not going to be an advantage. In fact, it's going to be a disadvantage, because you're then shooting in a way that you're not normally shooting. But if you're just going, I guess, for a class and you just want that extra level, I don't think anybody's going to care too bad.
Well, and I guess I definitely agree with what you gentlemen were just saying, but I also want to add this, that some people are taking these classes for RAL or SHTF or TOTWAKI, whatever. So in theory, and I'm really kind of pushing it a little bit. So in theory, they should almost train with that added weight so that they actually know what is going to be required of them in the moment if that craziness occurs, right?
We're talking about different things then. So I don't agree. People that are, when I'm talking training like this, we're talking small range, 25 yards, handgun, CCW oriented, maybe fighting pistol.
Well, and I was thinking like fighting rifle or something like that, but I get what you're saying.
So if we're talking fighting rifle, then it's possible that someone's going to take that class. But in my experience, the people that take a rifle class are not your prepper survivalists going to spend that kind of scratch on a class to learn some tactics. They're going to assume they know them. Well, I don't want to assume what they know, but they don't show up at these classes. The people that show up at these classes are just curious and interested. What would you call, like, enthusiasts, people that are just can't afford to go and are interested in go. And then, of course, law enforcement and military that are doing it usually off the clock because they want additional skills. And then that's about it. So you don't see too many people showing up with their 511 stuff, at least at the classes I've had experience with. They cost too much. It may be like a less elaborate $150 for the day type of class that a gun shop might put on, or something that's more of a local thing and it's affordable. But with your $400 plus couple of day thing, people aren't showing up with steel plates and talking about end of the world. It's people that
right. Okay. I definitely get that, and that's kind of why I put the question out there. And you actually made a valid point, and that the people that think that they're getting that type of training, air quotes, for those type of things, yeah, that's probably not going to be the prevailing reason for the majority of the student population, no matter whether you're in the classroom or you're taking training for competition or training for real world effect. So I definitely would agree with that comment.
Now,
Oh, nice. There's a Cave Dave out there says, I know guys that wear armor during IDPA. Now I wonder.
well, Enrique was saying just before that, train first and then practice with it later, and that's probably what
I can see that.
doing, because you don't want distraction. I have seen instructors tell people to take crap off, so I can't say that I've never seen that happen, but that's one of the reasons going to these classes, I guess, can be beneficial that we don't talk about, but you can get your shit squared away really fast by going to a group of other people that spent good money to be there, and an instructor who's aware that people's time and money is worth something. And if you're that guy, they're not gonna, they're gonna get you up to speed. So if you're sitting there with Condor falling off of you, they're gonna have you put that Condor crap away. Somebody's gonna borrow you something decent. You're gonna learn that decent gear matters. And that's the only thing I have seen an instructor tell people. Like, if something's taken forever or something's becoming a nuisance, they'll have you take off some crap. But it's usually chest rigs and shit, not.
Well, and that was what I wanted to add to it. Was somebody had mentioned a chest rig earlier, and then also combat boots. Now, I would almost change that to proper footwear or proper supportive footwear, because a lot of these classes, it's standing, moving, kneeling, all that kind of stuff. You're going to want decent support for your foot, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's where it goes to. It depends on the type of range you're going to, and is it just standing in one place, or is it moving around? What kind of ground is it? Is it, as I mentioned before, if it's down like where tactical response is, where there's literally tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of shotgun shells and everything all over the ground, or is it just dirt, grass and weeds, where which is much different.
Yeah, it also is what you're going to be doing. There's classes where you're actively going to the ground quickly, and then there's classes where some of the shooting is from the ground. So if you've got all the time in the world to get down and sit there, who cares what it is? And if you've got all the time in the world to kneel, take a knee, then really hardly matters. You'll have time to scoot some of the crap away and just kneel. But on the other hand, if you're doing something where you're, I don't know.
But that may not be clear before you take the class.
You can ask, I suppose, but yeah, and you're not going to necessarily, unless you do some research, but I guess it's something to research what the range is.
You just said it right there, G. I know on more than a few of the websites for some of these training classes and stuff that we're training schools, training classes, there is going to be like either a fact sheet or a gear list that they suggest you bring. I mean, and it's usually on their website or, depending on where it is that you're finding the information. And
let's use all our resources. I can't imagine a class that's out there that hasn't had somebody go through the class and document it somehow, either during it or at least after. I'll sometimes I've made videos of my gear ahead of the time. When I was going to Moss's class, I was all giddy. I made videos of the packed gear going to the class. I've made videos as I was taking apart my crap after the class before. I'm sure other people have done that since, in the years between then. And then
did your gear bag get a lot lighter after the class? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I just mean sometimes I didn't think about it until after, and then I decided to do a video talking about my gear.
Oh, I got you.
To be something that people ask.
I thought you were saying, "Oh, I didn't need this, and I didn't need this, and I won't need this." And
oh no, I just meant. Well, I mean, I'd be less on ammo, but I would talk about the stuff that I had brought. I always bring redundant crap, but I don't want to wait around. I'd rather be carrying extra shit, because we're not talking about walking anywhere with it. We're just taking it out of the van or the truck and putting it down. So I'd rather bring a lot of extra crap and then be there for be attendant to the class, and not trying to save a buck and not buy an extra 6 magazines and then not know what Masada Ayub said when I just paid him good money to sit there listening to what he said.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I see that, because that is the end result of everything, is that you're paying good money. So if you don't mind pissing the money away, it's your job not to ruin anybody else's experience that's spending good money. But other than that, man, you should be doing your due diligence to basically, pay attention. That's what you're there for.
There's definitely going to be after action reports of the courses that you might be taking. So you can get information about the class, what it was like, what gear, and the conditions of the place. And if you can't, then you've at least got a lead on someone who was there and probably interacting with that platform. So you can ask specific questions, and you're probably doing a service for the next person that comes along with those questions, right?
And G, you guys have taken classes and stuff, but I want to ask you a personal question here: is that do you believe that the empty cup is one of the most important pieces of training gear that you could technically have?
What does that mean?
The empty cup. You don't go to a class with a full cup.
Open mind, you mean?
Yes. Or not feeling like you know all of the answers and that you're there to tell them how to do their job.
Yeah, proper mindset.
That's a good point. Yeah, I thought you meant something else, but yeah, exactly.
No, the empty cup. Yeah, you go in there to fill the cup. That's why you're going there, to gain the knowledge. You're there to fill the cup. It's like a martial arts type of thing, but I think it definitely transfers.
Cup is a word that's too common for me. I use chalice all the time. So
okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, so I think that's enough with this. It's something we could probably talk about again if we.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of course, we didn't talk about windbreakers.
Yep, you always pack a windbreaker in your training gear.
Now I know that most guys don't stop, but they might be agree.
All right, it is time for the tactical pop quiz of the day. And I know you're all hot, red, and ready. And so those of you over on YouTube, get your cursor down in the box below, limber up your fingers, and get ready. And those of you over on gun channels, you've already done the same. Today's question was sent in by Ho-Ri and verified. It's a question that we may not get necessarily correct answer to. Z, have you seen the question? And more importantly, have you seen the answer?
Sure.
Okay. I put in parentheses the key parts in the answer that I'm actually looking for, not that whole sentence.
Yep, gotcha.
So, all right, I will read the question twice, again sent in by Ho-Ri, so thank you for that. So the question is as follows. What explosion during World War I, Statue of Liberty? So what blew up and where?
Hold on, it cut out.
I'm going to read it twice. That's why I always do. What explosion during World War I damaged the Statue of Liberty? So what blew up and where? It's a two-part answer. Both in the same line, please.
Hill 60 is incorrect.
I can do special effects today.
Oh, yeah.
I'm breaking into Smeggy territory right there. You see that?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Oh, now, Angry American, you got to remember that he wanted all of the answers in
the same line, not spread apart.
So everyone read what Angry said and type it faster than he can.
Now, here you go. But wait a minute. Here's the other thing. Dano doesn't have the answers that they are writing, but I believe that they are correct in what they wrote. So can Dano please read some of the answers, please?
Yes.
Got a partial answer on YouTube.
I can tell you that the explosion was set off by a German spy.
So are you not reading what they're saying, Dano?
No, I'm over on the other screen.
You're not on gun channels?
Well, I can be now.
Basically, I guess the question is, we're looking at the Black Tom explosion. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, but Black Tom is acceptable.
Okay.
All right.
So
that was the name for the explosion. Yes.
So then you Chris that with New Jersey, though, right? So it had to be the first one to have Black Tom with New Jersey.
Yes.
Yes.
Would be Moo? No.
Oh, it's Sean then. Ponery and all in one line on gun channels.
Yep.
You part around just straight to that answer. right off the bat. And that was before Cave over on YouTube, but you didn't have New Jersey, and Dana wanted New Jersey.
Right.
So we're giving it to Sean.
Yep, Ponnery.
That is amazing. You know, they used to be, before that explosion, they used to be able to gain access to the torch on the arm. But because of that explosion, which created a crack in the statue alarm, they're no longer allowed to go up and view from the torch. Now, if that changed when they redid the statue, I do not know. But congratulations, Mr. Ponnery. You are today's Tactical Pop Quiz winner. You know what to do, but always as a reminder, head on over to dailygunshow.com/popquiz. Fill out the form, put your first, second, and third choice, and congratulations.
I don't know if he's won any this week, so way to get back on the horse. Congratulations, you Tactical Pop Quiz. Hot shot!
And I think Diecaster was close, but not quite what we were looking for there, buddy.
Right.
It's not a good enough troll to read out loud, but it made
That's
me
pretty
smart.
good.
All right, so then we will go on to the gun movie of the day. So every day we try to pick a movie that you might not have seen before, or if you're young and you probably haven't seen before. Gun related. I guess this one's gun related. It's called Red State.
Is that the one where it's a chick with a bikini or something like that and she's holding an AK on the cover?
Oh, maybe, but I don't think so. I'm going to go look.
I think it is. And I have not watched it. It was one of those ones where I was like, rednecks with AKs. Maybe not. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not in a bikini. She's just sitting in like clothes, but she's holding an AK looking up in the air. Trying to look like a cover or something, maybe. So it's, who is it? It's not, I don't know. Somebody.
So it's like a Hills Have Eyes? Is it a Cabin Fever? What's the story on this one, G?
This is what you're talking about here.
Yes.
Clothes on or whatever. So, yeah, it's like there's this, I guess, a religion out in the woods that has a weird church, and I forget exactly what happens, and then it turns into like the FBI storming the church, and there's guns, and it's, I can't tell if it's anti-church or if it's anti-gun. It's probably anti-both, and I think it's the guy, who the hell wrote it? Somebody wrote it who's like just hates everybody all the time. Oh, Kevin Smith, guy from Clerks.
What? He wrote that?
Yeah.
So then it's anti-gun then.
It's
anti-church.
Is he anti-gun, really?
Yeah. It's
That
anti-gun,
makes me sad.
anti-religion, anti-ATF. It's like anti-everything. The world sucks, and this is what happens when you let anyone have religion and guns or something. Yeah, I didn't like it.
I could see him being anti-religion because, he obviously made fun of Catholics and dogma and whatnot. But, yeah, I didn't know he was anti-gun. That's a bummer.
Well, he's from New Jersey.
Yeah, but just because you're from New Jersey doesn't mean you're anti-gun. Maybe he realizes how crappy it is not having guns. But
Nice.
anyways, I did not see that movie. Now that you mentioned him, I do remember him kind of talking about it. It's not like his other stuff. So if you think, oh, Clerks is funny, I'll like this. It's not like a funny stoner movie. It's
nice. Matt's out there says it's like crazy church. It's like a crazy church. They kidnap some kids and the FBI shows up. So just pretty much what G Web's just said.
I think somebody knocks on the wrong door, and then but it's just there's no good guy in it. There's like, it's one of them kind of movies. It's just like observing a bunch of weird crap that never really ever happens, but it's sort of, I guess, supposed to be Waco mixed with some like his version of
wow.
or something. I don't know. Or maybe what people in Hollywood think Waco was. I don't really know.
Could be. Well, you know what then? I'm going to give it a thumbs down.
No, I never even thought about that.
Sight unseen.
But I'm going to give it a thumbs down also. I'll give it 2 thumbs.
Because if I'm not going to give it a thumbs down, I'm going to give it the finger. So I'm going to just give it thumbs down. But anybody else out there that has watched the movie Red State, let us know what you think of it. We're more than willing to listen.
I know we've talked about it before, probably on Mass Chat, and I think some people like it.
And so yeah, having not seen it, but from your description, if it really is all like anti-gun and stuff, I'll give them one thumbs down for the movie, but then I'll give a thumbs up for Kevin Smith in general because his other stuff is good. So go back to writing stupid stoner
Yoga
movies. 'Cause
Hosers is good.
What's that?
But I
I
don't
said
like
Yoga Hosers was good.
I can't say I ever watched Yoga Hosers. But
Actually, I'm with you,
most of
Smegs.
his,
Don't
I've seen
worry.
all the other Jay and Silent Bob stuff.
Yeah.
I like Clerks fine and Mallrats and all that is fine, but I don't like it when a super anti-gunner gets super popular and into the culture, because then they've got that influence and it's like hip to like their shit. And if they hate guns, then maybe it's hip.
And then that's when they poison the well.
Yeah. So I would rather see him being different or something. But what are you gonna do?
But I guess here might be
it got me angry, so I won't watch it again. Like, it just bugged me. Like, I didn't enjoy it. It bugged me. So I don't even remember if it was all that good. I just remember going like, I didn't like it. I'm not watching it again.
Right on. No, that's cool.
Well, I think maybe it's something to like. I get what you're saying as far as like, you know, when the Hollywood people are anti-gun and then everyone else is also just so they can feel cool. The fact that I didn't know he was anti-gun, and I've watched quite a few interviews with him, and most of the time he's just talking about comic books and crap. You know, I've seen the stuff where he goes and talks at colleges, and I never once got any vibe of anti-gun from him. So at least he's not open with his anti-gun stuff.
Well, that's good. Yeah, he's
And
not.
like I said, I've seek him out. I mean, I watch Comic Book Men and all that stuff. Like, I've seen a bunch of his stuff where it's just him talking with his friends and things. So it's not like he's on a crusade.
Can I extrapolate on that? What you're just saying, knowing and not knowing? I was watching something off the Facebook feed today or YouTube or something like that. And you know the guy that does the Talking Dead after the show?
Oh, yeah.
Chris Hardwick?
That guy? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that I would have ever assumed, since he's the guy that started Nerdist and all that kind of stuff, that he was either pro or anti or whatever. But they did a fucking tour of his house. And literally in the room above one of the fireplaces is literally like shotguns, muskets, rifles, like old timey style. So it was one of those shocks where I'm like, man, I would have never guessed. But I mean, I guess he's from like Tennessee originally or something like that. Not that that means anything one way or another, but it was just a surprise to know that somebody that's out in California actually ain't afraid to like literally have that kind of stuff on their wall.
Yeah, that's good to know.
So Matt is saying that, think if Hollywood was pro-gun laws, what gun laws? And that's why I seriously agree with that. If when Hollywood was pro-gun, when days of the westerns and stuff were their gun laws, no. As soon as when you start seeing gun laws, when it's like lawyer bullshit and CSI bullshit, and they start to make crime and everything like this, like the hero worship of like all this, and like how the crime is such a big thing. Like every freaking week, there's all these murders and stuff. I mean, maybe in Chicago, and you know that's all one gang related or whatever. But according to these shows, it's always some mass murderer or some sort of kid who gets a gun, or you know, it's just the craziest plots or whatever. And every single week they're bombarded with it, and all of a sudden there's this fear of firearms and this, you know, lack of knowledge, actual knowledge, and we see gun laws. So I'm not going to say they're solely responsible, but they certainly don't help keep actual fact out there. They you know, they allow these misconceptions and shit, and they actually exploit them, right? They use those misconceptions to be plot points and shit in their movies. You know, when a gun cocks, car blows up from a gunshot, nobody can hit anything when they don't need to.
Well, and you know, whether they call it, you know, sensationalizing or theatricizing or whatever they call it, when they take, like, you know, if it's even a movie that was based on fact and then they dramatize. Yeah, thank you. The dramatization, yeah, where they have to add stuff to it, because whether they're afraid that the story itself doesn't stand on its own, but they have to exaggerate it to make it more exciting.
Well, that's the thing, and that's where they say Hollywood, or does the media mirror society, or society mirror media? Like, they don't ever just allow things to be boring and be kind of pointless. There's always got to be some, you know, they try to push deeper significance and all kinds of little plot.
Well, I think they feed off each other, by the way, to answer your question. I think it is both.
For sure, for sure. But I'm saying that their end is not without influence. Our end is fairly organic and natural and might have some influence when people poke at it, but theirs is completely engineered. And I guess I'm saying that, they will exploit things when it's convenient for them. And making cars blow up and shit like that. That just gives a perception.
Right.
It doesn't give a shit that guns are much more dangerous and powerful and dangerous if they're not used wisely,
Well, they taught you that a silencer makes everything make
Hush.
no noise, and they also make you believe that you don't have to aim a shotgun when you shoot it, and that you can blow up a propane tank, and just yeah, you're right. They have put more probably put more harmful myths forward in the interest of making a dollar than any type of responsible person would.
I mean, imagine if a propane tank actually blew up ever. Like, it would be major news. It'd be a big thing about it on the nightly news. So if that was actually happening and bad guys were blowing up propane tanks willy-nilly,
Yeah, exactly.
we'd hear about it. All right, so I guess that's that movie. So we'll
Yeah, that's Red State.
we'll do a healthy tip real quick. I always like to mention that focus on the most important part of the gun is the part that pulls the trigger. So today it's arm strength. So you got them, use them. I guess I'm guilty as anybody. Sitting in front of a computer all the time, you hardly ever get any arm strength going. So doing.
Oh man, you can, like you were talking earlier before about how you stand at your desk. You can do the incline push-ups. Man, you can use a grip master and or the split ring.
I saw the
what do you
thing.
call
I don't know where I seen it. I think I might have mentioned already where you like basically hold your foot. So you're standing there, you pull your foot up like if you were checking to see if there's gum on your shoe or something. And you just hold your foot and do curls. And it's like stretches your leg and gives you some resistance. And it turns out to be exercise. I don't know if somebody in prison came up with that or if it's some kind of new fancy.
That's some yoga baloney. No,
Yes, certainly. Well, it works. And then you just put your foot behind you, like if you're itching yourself or something, and then you can do whatever that reverse. What is that thing? I don't know what the hell that exercise would be if you're pulling weights up behind you. But anyway, you can actually get some pretty good stretching and arm movement in. And I'll do that sometimes if I'm sitting here doing a long project and how you just lose blood to your hand that's got the freaking mouse. So to get the blood moving again, I'll do stuff like that. Now, have you guys ever done the thing? I don't know if you sit in front of a computer long enough, but where you have your Skynet bug you on a random interval to get up and do some exercise?
Skynet never contacts me personally, so I might be logging off right now.
Anyway, your phone, you can have your phone give you one of these apps that'll just remind you like randomly get up.
Oh, okay.
Get up.
I thought you were literally getting calls from Skynet, and I was about to be a little nervous.
It's like run up.
Yeah. I'm on an island. I don't know where I can run to be honest with you.
So I guess I'm fidgety enough that like when I'm at home on my computer or something, I kind of just get up randomly anyways. So
because of the constant Mountain Dew.
Well, that's part of it. I mean, I guess maybe that'd be a healthy tip for the future. Bonus, put your 2-liter Mountain Dew downstairs in the kitchen instead of on the coffee table like it is right now. So you have to at least walk down a couple steps to get it to refill your cup and then come back up.
Wow.
But I will say that as of right now, that is not what I'm doing. My 2-liter is well within arm's reach.
Yeah, like if there's a cup involved.
Whatever. No, there is. There is. Here.
I mean, like if there's a chalice involved. Come on.
Nice. That should be the secret word for today.
Kind it back. If you hear chalice, you have to reload your firearm.
So there's my 2-liter. And then I'm not pointing down enough. I can't even see it's good. So there's the cup.
All right.
And here's Night Strike's trigger. And here's my Every Second Matters patch.
Nice. So you're saying it's that easy to trigger Night Strike? Is that what you just said?
Yep. Because he'll get all cranky.
By showing him that trigger, you're triggering him. That's
you're triggering, yes.
I'm sure I am. I don't know if you guys saw in the background, but there was my reloading and my Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book sitting on the couch next to me.
Nice.
So I'm all set.
Don't forget to pack a towel, Smegs.
Yeah,
don't have
don't
to
forget to
worry
bring a
about it.
towel.
Night Strike doesn't watch this show.
I'm sure he doesn't. He's a jerk.
So that'll take us into the gun shooting events that are coming up. So we're going to head over to Gun Channels on the main page of Gun Channels. When you log in, or if you just go to it, you're going to scroll halfway down. I got to let the top out. I'll be right back.
So anyways, over on Gun Channels, I'll pick up there. On the side, it says events, and it's got a calendar. Let me see. Let me open up the actual Gun Channels thing because I'm over on the Daily Gun Show tab. So I'll pull that up here in a second. But basically, what's cool about it, it's got some stuff on there already, but you can add stuff as a member. And there's different categories. When you do go to add it, you can put it as shooting event or gun show or trade show, or, there's a few other different ones. But I know I did that recently for a local gun show, and then come to find out, I ended up meeting up with one of the Gun Channels members, because he's like, oh, I didn't know that was this weekend. I'm thinking about going if you're going to go. Well, he didn't quite say that, but he was just saying, I'm thinking of going. And then I was like, well, that's cool. Maybe I'll see you there.
So was this stalker-like, or this was just genuine, organic?
No, Squib was going to go anyway. I think when I
if it's Squib, that's cool.
Yeah, when I posted it, he was like, oh, that's that sounds good. I didn't know it was this weekend. I might go. And then I said, well, I might go also. In fact, I was supposed to go shooting with my buddy, and then the range was super packed, and it's like we would have had to wait 2 hours just to get to a lane. So it's like, well, you want to just go to the gun show instead? And he said, yeah. So,
nice.
But it looks like coming up on Saturday, Masada Youb Armed Citizens Rules of Engagement.
So I found out that Mike Deddy will be taking that class. So Mike will be at the class, and there was still a couple of seats open last I heard. So if anybody's in Tucson or can get to Tucson this Saturday in a couple of days here, Masada Youb will be there for his MAG 20. He shows up to have the class with Dan every March. And this year, Mike Deddy, the author of...
so it's going to have Masada Youb,
like
Mike Deddy, and Dan Southern? Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And the class is at the airport, basically. So if you fly in, just stay at the hotel with everybody. And that means you could eat breakfast with Mas probably, because he's sitting there eating breakfast, and then have the class with everybody, and then probably buy him some beers. I've had the privilege of buying Mas a beer before. It's kind of cool. And then, experience that.
Dang, gee, that's awesome, man. That is awesome.
So you're saying I need to go to TripAdvisor right now and see what's going on for this weekend?
It ain't going to be inexpensive. I was going to fly up to Bob to see, fly up to Bob who's in Vegas, eat some of them brunches with him, and then drive back with him. But it was going to be like $400. It used to be back in the day, it was $75 to get a shuttle up to Vegas, and we would go up there on a whim. I don't know what the hell happened with airfares. That's crazy.
Well, so is there no more? And okay, I live out on an island, but there's no more $99 Southwest airline flights and stuff like that anymore.
$99 round trip, but if you just wanted to get up there, it was like $75. Just anytime you went to the airport, there was a plane going to Vegas, and you could basically be gambling in an hour and a half. But yeah, this is annoying. But anyway, so hopefully Smeggy can find something. I also have heard though that if you're willing to fly last minute with some flexibility, that they are trying to fill seats, but I have not found one. But maybe Smeggy can find one.
And you said that that's going to be in Tucson? No, you said Phoenix?
Tucson this weekend.
Okay, Tucson Saturday. Thank you.
Tucson Airport, basically. All right, so next we got also in Arizona on the 24th of this month will be the Big Sandy machine gun shoot. And it's a big group of people that get together and shoot machine guns at a hill, and it's open to the public. You can show up as a spectator for just $25 for the whole time, and it's definitely worth doing. If you consider yourself a gun person, I've done a few gun things in my day, and I would put it on the big list, like the top 3 things you want to do as far as gun things, if you really had a chance, and you're hardcore. If you don't expect things to be easy and you don't mind going out in the desert, that's one of the things you want to put on your list.
It is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, right? So you got to kind of bring all your stuff with you.
Yeah, definitely.
I've seen enough video to know that it is on my list of things to do. for
if you
sure.
9mm and you're satisfied, you're done right there. Like that's it.
Then Big Sandy's not for you.
Yeah, you want to go to Knob Creek. Anyway, so that's Big Sandy. That's in March. Then we've got the International Cartridge Show. I was hoping to get to that also in March. But speaking of what Smeggy talked about, he posted that gun show and met up with somebody or let somebody know about the show. I was talking about that cartridge show that I didn't get to go up there to Prescott last weekend. And somebody did hear about it and went to it. So at least we got 2 instances now of people, one person we know, Squib, but this other guy from the forums or something that saw that and then went to the show. So at least we're hopefully doing, if we know about it, maybe that represents.
We're trying, man. We're trying to disseminate positive information.
So once again, I will encourage, and I don't know, maybe we'll see what happens, but I would say, if you know of a local show, post it up there. I mean, it's open. Any Gun Channels member can add an event. Just make sure you put it in the right category. Like, don't be dumb about it. But maybe we can help get some people together, and you can buddy system through the show, because sometimes it's boring if you're by yourself.
Well, you can save costs on parking if nothing else. And a $20 parking, showing up with somebody you can meet up across the town or something, or meet up for lunch and then show up in the same car and save $10 each on parking. That alone is worth doing it, right? That pays for lunch for each of you. Then we got the Trinity site I keep putting in there, but most people aren't going to drive out to the middle of Mexico to see the place where the first nuke went off. But if you want to show up on April 1st to Tulsa, a bunch of people are going to be meeting up there for the world's largest gun show. A bunch of people from Gun Channels get together there. Now, I have not heard many people getting ready for that, so it is quite a ways off, but really not that much. It's just a few
Not
weeks.
really, dude.
It's like a
It's
month.
March already, man. We're talking April 1st.
Yeah, so
Less
it's really
than a month.
a month from now. So we'll see if people show up to that one. Anyway, then we've also got the potential for the machine gun shoot there. Then we've got the Knob Creek machine gun shoot a couple of days later on April 7th. That one's in Kentucky. Then in April, at the end of April, 27th, is the NRA show. And that's probably why people aren't going to be going to the world's largest gun show on April 1st, huh? If they're going to be planning on going to the NRA show. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, I just can't do it because of work. I'm
So
on
you-
an every other weekend kind of thing, and April 1st is booked.
Dan about NRA show. Damn it. Do you think Daniel's going to the NRA show?
I don't know. I know I'm planning on going. Pink and DB and Marco are going.
Right. Marco's trying to get the guest or the media passes for everybody, and I was supposed to ask Gano. I even put it in the damn notes, and I forgot to ask him. So I'm gonna.
Well, we got a month. Well, we got 2 months really, because it's at the end of April.
No, he doesn't. He has till tomorrow to do media passes. That's why he was asking me.
Oh.
But that's neither here nor there at this moment.
Yeah. But anyways, if you're listening to this and you go to the NRA show, jump on Gun Channels in the lobby text chat or something and be like, hey guys, I'm at NRA. And I can't speak for everyone, but I'll take some time to meet up with some people. Be like, okay, I'm at booth number 58 or whatever. And then I'll stand around with my Gun Channel shirt on waiting for people.
He's acting like he's willing to do the favor. You know that he's trying to accumulate the largest number of people that he's met.
Quit reading the lines, dude. I'm trying to give the fans what they want.
Yeah. You've got the power. He'll probably pay you
Nice.
$5 an introduction so that he can keep that.
I won't say that, but I will be coming with patches and stickers and stuff. So there is a possibility of that. I might give someone a patch or a sticker.
Oops. So now let's head into. We're still digging into that, weren't we? So that was the Tulsa show. Knob Creek is April 7th. NRA meeting is April 27th. Blade show is June 2nd, also in Atlanta. And then we got Outdoor Retailer on July 26th. And I don't know where that is, probably in Salt Lake City. So maybe somewhere else, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's some of the things that are coming up. And if you're familiar with any of these or if you've attended them, feel free to jump into the show sometime or ask for a time when it's convenient for you to join us and tell us about one of these events. Every Thursday, we try to encourage people to think about the different shooting events that are out there. Of course, it's more important than ever to keep firearms in the news, just in part of culture. And some of these recreational, entertaining events are a fun way to do that, right? It's a win-win. You have fun, and you're keeping the community growing.
which is nice.
It is. So on that note, we will move on along into the gun shop of the day. Yep, Smeggy can do the gun shop.
Okay. So this gun shop, it's actually, I don't know, it's kind of a different type of gun shop. It's called Tactical Shit. It's in Missouri. It's basically just outside St. Louis. I forget the town, St. Charles or St. Peter's, one of them. You can look it up. It's cool. It's right off of 70. Basically, you get in the airport's right on 70, and then you head west. But they basically specialize in building AR-15s. They're actually not an FFL. They have every other thing other than lowers. They do have 80% lowers, but it's a cool shop. They got funny T-shirts on the wall. They got a lot of patches and.
Is that the Instagram and?
Yep, their Instagram is
That's Tactical Shit, right?
Yeah, it's Tactical Shit, but I think on the Instagram they leave out the I or whatever.
I think you're right.
Let's see. I was just looking at
the
them
dude
on there.
that got the beard and smokes a cigar all the time. I think he's got a YouTube channel too.
Yeah, so basically Tactical SHT. I don't have any pictures from inside the shop, but I know on their Instagram they've shown stuff before. They do live Instagram videos that normally are like shop tour type things.
I never realized that they weren't like an actual FFL either. That's interesting.
Yeah, I asked the guy about that, and he said that basically there's, what did he say? There was like 13 gun shops within like 7 miles from them or something. I mean, it's something ridiculous. There's apparently just tons of gun shops there, and they decided instead of trying to compete with them, that they would kind of do their own thing. And so they're more into merchandising. They do have like plate carriers. They have, I don't know if you really call it like surplus, but they have like army style clothing, new clothing. It's not really surplus, but camo pants and jackets and different things. They got a bunch of cool knives and scopes and barrels, and like I said, any piece to an AR-15 they have, and they have a lot of like the cool looking stuff. So, fluted barrels and different crazy things, crazy triggers and stuff. But anyways, the guy was like super nice when I got there. I was stopping in. I was in St. Louis for work, and I've been driving past it all this time. Well, this weekend I happened to be just by myself. I wasn't with someone I work with. So I'm like, before I go into work, I'm going to just stop by for, 10 minutes or whatever, say hi, check it out. And, when I was there, it was just one dude behind the counter. There was like one other person in there shopping. And so I got to talk to him for a while, and he's a super nice guy. And I liked, his sense of humor and stuff. We were talking about Every Second Matters actually a little bit, and, talking about the NFA and Hughes and Suppressor Act and like all that kind of stuff. So very involved in gun culture and Second Amendment rights, and very nice person. So I figured I'd give them a shout out. And I think you can get stuff online also. Like I said, their t-shirts, they just have a bunch of like funny t-shirts and stuff. They sell liberal tears, gun lubricant, and that kind of crap. So, well, it's definitely, I would say they're on the humorous side of the gun community, but I thought they were cool.
Right on. Well, thanks. We like to feature a gun shop every day, so that was our shop today. If you've got one you'd like to feature, you can always email us at dailygunshow@gmail.com. Part of the reason we do a show daily is so that we can talk about the unique and interesting things about local shops, right? All right, so that's most everything, right? Oh, we had some gun history. We were going to talk about that, or did we already hit it?
We did. That was the Ryan Zinke, Secretary of Interior. We did. So we're up at the gun of the day.
Oh, and what's today's gun of the day is, the twist Derringer. So we will pop open a video here and screen capture
a gun on you? So hidden.
while that
It
video
was like
happens.
the footsteps of a Navy SEAL.
Footsteps of a Navy SEAL.
Dude, is that the one where the holster throws the gun on the ground?
Kind of.
They don't want.
So we're talking about, though, the Twist 2. So this is a neat little Derringer that...
Well, anybody watches our videos knows I'm pretty partial.
So this is a little Derringer I didn't even know existed until a local shop had one, and I grabbed it. It's 22 short, so they knew I was going to be fond of it, and it's super unique, I guess. As soon as I open the damn box here, what the hell's wrong with these reviews? Nobody cares about the box or the stuff. They only want to see the gun.
Well, that's why it's an unboxing. Oh,
So there we go. So it's
a reproduction of an old one, or it's a new version of an old one.
It's a new version of an old, I guess, style, a little weird style. So you load it on that one side and then unload it from that side. The other side doesn't have a little scallop, so you can't get the shell in there. So yeah, it's a horrible video. But anyway, that's how you load it, and then single shot, or it's single action. So you just cock the hammer back like most Derringers. I'm shooting about 500 yards or something there. Hit it.
Yeah, 500 yards. Okay. Cool.
Am I mistaken in that there's 3 barrels but only 2 rounds go in, or am I just looking at that wrong?
And then the center part is just the thing it rotates on, so it kind of looks like a barrel, but it's just.
I gotcha. Yep. It's the pivot.
And you can see it's about the size of one of the small revolvers, so it's pretty little. And it's pointless, but it's neat. And it's made out of, I forget, like North Carolina or South Carolina or someplace. Little company, must have been in business for a while. I guess whittling these guns out of metal, you can see how it's not crude, but I mean it's well made and everything, but you can tell how it's made, you know.
I think it's cool,
chunks
dude.
of metal and
Yep.
And there we go. And just need a little brass and steel.
It's nice to have. It's nice to not stifle innovation like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's innovation as much as just kind of neat, but yeah, fun little gun. No sights or anything.
So
I just want to say hi to
long rifle.
22 short only.
Thank you.
I just want to say hi to Steadily Deadly on the Instagram.
Yeah, I've been running the Instagram feed here to see if anybody's out there watching.
Yeah,
So
he just asked where it's live, and it's a Daily Gun Show on YouTube and on Gun Channels. So head on over to Gun Channels because it's better than YouTube.
It is, and we're about to end this show, but we're about to start the Every Second Matters show. So I'm going to end the what do you call this thing? The Instagram thing. If I can figure out where to hit the button. So thanks everybody for watching us live on Instagram. And
come see Every Second Matters.
All right, but back to the show. So that was everything, I think, and we will wrap up episode 259. Tomorrow will be episode 260. If you divide that by 5 and then divide that by 4, that's how many months we've been doing this.
Okay, we're coming up on 52 weeks.
When?
Just so you know.
Next week will be 52 weeks. Bob will probably come back for all the.
Well, 260 if 5 a week would be 52 weeks.
Okay, so that means Bob will be back next week to stand.
So as in tomorrow, we'll make 52 weeks, is what he's saying. So tomorrow should be our 1-year anniversary.
Oh, look at that. So we want to thank all of our patrons who made it possible to get to a year. If you want to check that out, we have a link to it in the description of every show. Otherwise, we will be back here tomorrow for episode 260, or I guess it'll be our year anniversary or whatever. And then we'll talk about alternative gun topics. We'll talk about the gun business, and we'll wrap up the week, maybe even the year. Who knows? We have Every Second Matters starting here in momentarily. Actually, I should have started it 6 minutes ago. After that, we'll have the AK-47 podcast. So if you're interested in listening to more stuff live, join us.
Yes, and at the end of the show, before we sign off, we like to end it with a quote. We definitely want to thank everybody that has participated and will participate and or listen in the future. Any questions or comments, please send them to dailygunshow@gmail.com. You have been listening to Daily Gun Show. So for our inspirational quote of the day today, it is from our Secretary of Interior, Mr. Ryan Zinke. For those who have taken an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, it is a call of duty to take back America from a commander-in-chief that is incapable of understanding the sacrifices that have been made for the values that have made America great. Now, of course, he made this comment for our previous commander-in-chief, not our current. So again, thank you, everybody. Aloha. Have a great day. Join us for Every Second Matters coming up shortly. That is Gun Channels today, I guess, right? So we got Every Second Matters. We got the AK-47 Guru chat. I think there's Gun Show Weekly as well. So there's definitely plenty. Gun News Weekly, thank you. And then, of course, Jimmy doing the early watch like a boss. So again, thank you, everybody, and aloha.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.
Where the hell have you been, soldier? Training, sir! Training, sir! What kind of training, son? Army training,